Loki Season 1 was an utter disaster.
Conceal, don't feel.
Can Season 2 repair the damage? Or will it only compound on previous issues? Let's dive into Loki Season 2, Episode 1 and find out. We pick up where Season 1 left off. Mobius, not remembering Loki, chases him down for being a variant and an intruder. Later, we discover that this is the TVA's past. Apparently, Loki got here because he was transported using Kang's tempad.
All I know is I was in the past. It was he who remained his tempad, so maybe that's how it was possible.
That makes enough sense, though why did he have his tempad set to the TVA at this point in time? In this past, we see statues of Kang rather than the Timekeepers. I guess the space lizard line was something he introduced later, and not at the TVA's creation. But why? I don't see the point of lying about who created the TVA, especially when the purpose of the TVA remains the same, to stop a multiversal war. There's no point to it. Loki's cornered, so he jumps out of the building onto the back of a flying truck. I'm surprised that didn't kill him. I thought the TVA took away his super strength. Otherwise, he would have used it to escape ages ago. Loki gets back into the building, where he suddenly slips into the present. Throughout the episode, he deals with time slipping between the past, present, and future. Meanwhile, Mobius and B-15 think about what to do next. Things are on edge at the TVA. Branching timelines have redlined, there are sudden power surges, and Miss Minutes can't be contacted. Mobius is hesitant to tell everyone the truth of the TVA.
And you think people are going to be ready to hear that? Think about it. Hey, everything you've been doing is wrong, and all your gods are dead. How are people going to take that?
This is quite different from how he felt before, when he was all gung-ho about exposing the truth.
I think people are ready to hear a little truth now. You know, like the TVA's a lie.
Then there's this strange scene where a TVA agent, X5, asks Mobius about jet skis, only to suddenly about-face and say he doesn't care and completely change the topic.
Is this on the sacred timeline?
I don't care.
Looks fun.
I don't care.
Jet skis,
I don't care.
sea-doos.
I don't care.
One of these calling your name, Mobius?
I don't know about call. I don't care.
For the life of me, I can't figure out why this is here. Mobius and B-15 are called to the war room to talk to the general and some judges. In the wake of Renslayer's disappearance, they have some explaining to do.
The branches are growing. They're way past redline. And you put out an order to stop pruning.
We just need a moment to explain.
Make it make sense.
Why is B-15 giving orders? And why is she the one primarily questioned about recent decisions? She's just a grunt, isn't she? Doesn't Mobius outrank her in authority? Why is he only occasionally throwing in a comment? Why is one of the judges asleep? What is happening? Loki ends up in the war room in the past, where he finds a recording of Kang.
Professor Renslayer, you are quite a marvel. I will be proud to lead with you. You made a difference in this war. Thank you for being on my team.
This raises some questions that will likely get answered later in the season. Maybe we'll get an explanation for Renslayer's strange behavior in Season 1. She acted as though she understood the TVA was lying to everyone, and took proactive steps to conceal the truth. She knew things no other agent did, such as what Pruning really did. Yet simultaneously, she seemed to only realize they were being lied to along with the others, and was desperate to learn the truth, going so far as to run away to find it. And she betrayed Mobius, her longtime friend, then turned around and accused him of betraying her. And when Mobius insisted on giving people free will back...
Free will? Only one person gets free will. The one in charge.
Then she left.
In search of free will.
Hopefully whatever answers we get will straighten out these numerous contradictions. In the present, B-15 argues that they can't keep pruning timelines.
With all due respect, ma'am, we haven't been protecting. We've been destroying.
The TVA always knew they were committing genocide at an unfathomable scale. This isn't a revelation to them. They just never cared about those lives. So it's strange how passionately characters like Mobius and B-15 argue against pruning, using the loss of life as their main reasoning. These characters have snuffed out countless lives without a shred of empathy until 5 minutes ago.
Wonder what this feels like. Ow! That hurts! My God, is that what I've been doing to people? I belong here.
The true revelation is that they're variants. But even this doesn't invalidate the goal of the TVA from their perspective. The Timekeepers aren't real, bringing into question the multiversal war narrative. But no one here knows whether that part is a lie. And if it is a lie, they don't know the true reasoning. If we were to be consistent with these characters, they'd have no qualms morally about continuing to prune timelines.
All my life, I've always handed down the same verdict. Guilty, and the Timekeepers deemed it so.
This confirms that putting variants on trial was entirely pointless. They could have just killed them along with their timelines and nothing changes. Except the show doesn't exist, meaning everything from episode 1 onward is built on a broken foundation. The judge orders they officially stop pruning timelines, and Loki appears. He uses a time stick to reveal the Kang statues hidden behind the Timekeeper mural. Kang wanted to cover up that he was in charge, but instead of destroying the statues, he put up a wall and just hoped no one would discover what was behind it.
That makes perfect sense. There's no flaw in that logic.
I haven't seen anything this stupid since Ragnarok. Loki shouts about Kang before getting escorted out of the room by Mobius.
The Timekeepers are fake, but their warnings were real. We need to know what happened at the end of time. Find Sylvie. She's the reason we're in this mess.
I don't know how she came to any of these conclusions. This is everything Loki said.
That's who built this place. That's who stole your lives. That's who's coming back. She was going to kill him.
Sylvie?
Mobius,
Sylvie?
yes.
Where is she?
I don't know.
Loki said nothing about a multiversal war, so why does she think the Timekeepers' warnings were real? He said nothing about them being at the end of time, so how does she know that's where Sylvie and Kang were? And if she wants to know what happened there, why isn't she trying to talk to Loki? He was there with Kang and Sylvie after all. And how does she even know the name Sylvie? Only Mobius was told she calls herself that. The problem is, the amount of knowledge characters have about certain people and events are fudged, so the episode can get things to happen in a certain way. We need the General to launch an attack against Sylvie, so all this necessary info is poofed into her brain. This will be an issue later as well. Outside, Loki explains more of what happened to Mobius, and the show takes an opportunity to do what it does best: make Loki look pathetic.
We fought Mobius, and she kicked me through a time door.
Well, I'd ask who won, but
It was a draw.
both kicked each other through time doors simultaneously?
No, I was actively trying not to fight her.
Although, credit where credit is due, the episode shows surprising restraint. This is the only joke like this in the episode. In fact, I enjoyed most of the comedy. Felt more natural and character-based than anything from season 1.
You just disappeared. I know, and I can't keep looking at it because it's horrible.
I thought you said it didn't look that bad.
I was lying. It's terrible. It looks like you're being born or dying or both at the same time. It's freaking me out.
Loki wants to talk to the judges again, but Mobius stops him.
They have to listen to us.
Hey, believe me, they listened to you, okay? We heard you loud and clear.
No, a lot of the info Loki just explained wasn't told to the others. But I guess the episode's just gonna pretend otherwise. The topic switches to Loki's time slipping.
I was in the past. Here, the past TVA.
No, there is no past TVA. Time doesn't work like
But it
that
does
here.
now because it's happening to me.
But linear time passes here. By definition, the TVA has a past. Mobius himself alludes to a past in this episode.
It's been a while since I've been down here. Actually, I'm not sure I've ever been in here.
Mobius is strangely skeptical when told he got his memories wiped.
He built this place.
No, how would I not remember that? I have no memory of having my memory wiped.
Even though last season, he accepted the fact that he's a variant who had his memories wiped. So far, Mobius has consistently contradicted what was established about him last season. He takes Loki to Repairs and Advancement to help with his time slipping. Wait a minute. Mobius, B-15, and Loki are allowed to just walk around unaccosted? Even though all three were declared enemies of the TVA like 5 minutes ago? Does no one remember this?
Mobius, I was just doing my job.
What do you mean, pruning me? Yeah, well, I guess you're just following orders.
Okay, I guess some people remember. They just don't care. At RNA, they meet Ouroboros, or OB for short. OB clearly remembers meeting Mobius centuries ago, but Mobius doesn't remember him at all. This seems off. For whatever reason, people at the TVA can live hundreds of years without aging, and while retaining memories of that time. So this discrepancy in recollection is strange. Are we supposed to think it's because Mobius had his memories wiped? But OB would have had his wiped too, so that can't be the case. Loki time slips, and Mobius explains the situation to OB.
It's impossible to time slip in the TVA.
Why though? It has a past, present, and future like anywhere else. Why would it be impossible to time slip here? This is never explained. Loki and Mobius, in different time periods, get told by their respective OBs how to solve the time slipping issue. We'll put a pin in this explanation for now. As this discussion progresses in the past, present OB starts to remember it.
That guy that was here, what was his name? Loki? A long time ago, he came to me complaining about time slipping. How did I not remember that?
And it's as if physical reality is changed to account for a new past.
A temporal aura extractor.
Do you have one of those?
I do not. One temporal aura extractor.
Great.
Wait, yes? I actually do have an extractor here.
This doesn't work, and the episode knows it. It's even a little tongue-in-cheek about it.
That makes perfect sense. There's no flaw in that logic.
This isn't how time travel in the MCU works. It's never worked like this, even in this show.
Changing the past doesn't change the future.
Changing the past creates a branching timeline of new events. There would now be 2 timelines with 2 TVAs. In fact, there should be an infinite amount of TVAs, given what it takes to create a branch.
But sometimes people like you veer off the path the timekeepers created. Maybe you started an uprising, or were just late for work. Stepping off your path created a nexus event, which left unchecked could branch off into madness, leading to another multiversal war.
At first glance, it's a clever scene, playing with time travel in a fun way that also progresses the plot. But it's a cheat. It's the episode forcing the plot points it wants despite the rules it's established. Eventually, Loki slips back into the present, and the trio head towards something called a temporal loom.
So the timeline is branching now? I bet that's what's causing the power surges. And maybe you're time slipping. The branching is overloading the temporal loom.
If that's what's causing Loki's time slipping, why is he the only one affected? Wouldn't everyone be time slipping all over the place?
The temporal loom is the heart of the TVA. It's where raw time is refined into physical timeline. And it's not constructed to weave together so many new branches. So it's overloading.
It's done it again. The Loki show has yet again broken the MCU. This establishes that the creation of new branching timelines is not a natural one, and it's conducted by a machine the TVA invented. This raises so many questions. If this machine creates new branches, and the TVA's goal was to destroy new branches, why not just turn off the machine? Then there's no need to prune anything. And this calls into question the TVA's creation. Kang made the TVA because of the multiversal war. But the multiversal war isn't possible unless there are other timelines. And there can't be other timelines without the TVA's temporal loom. You see what I mean? This completely annihilates the TVA's reason for existing in the first place. It's a paradox. One that, so far, the show hasn't explained. Maybe it'll be recontextualized later, so it makes sense. But at the moment, it's a problem. Also, where is the TVA? If it's outside this temporal loom, does that mean it exists outside time and space? But there's clearly space, and linear time passes just like anywhere else. Shouldn't that mean it exists somewhere on the timeline?
That makes perfect sense. There's no flaw in that logic.
I'd like to now go over OB's explanation for fixing Loki's time slipping.
Someone in the time you want to end up in would need a temporal aura extractor. You need to get to the temporal loom so the extractor can pull Loki directly out of the time stream. Prune yourself.
Why?
When something is pruned, it's released from time. So the hope is that after you prune yourself, the extractor will pull you into the present.
In Season 1, it was established that the TVA agents, aside from Renslayer, don't know the truth behind pruning. They believe it disintegrates matter, when it actually just transports it to the end of time. OB's explanation of pruning sounds more like the former, the lie, rather than the latter, the truth. As far as we know, OB should believe the lie the other TVA agents believe. So this tracks. Except neither Loki nor Mobius, who both learned the truth, try to correct him. They go along with it, even though they should be concerned that OB is acting under false information. And even if we just accept what OB says, we still have issues. Pruning releases him from time, and the extractor pulls him from the time stream. That sounds like a contradiction. How can Loki be pulled from the time stream if he's been released from time? Maybe if the episode bothered to explain what the hell time slipping is, it might make a little more sense. Also, how's Loki meant to survive getting yanked out of the loom? Mobius needs to wear a protective suit, otherwise he'll immediately get killed by it. So why do they assume Loki will be fine? Anyway, Obi says he'll need to retrofit the loom to handle all these branches. Otherwise, the TVA is going to be in danger. Loki's time-slipping problem needs to be addressed first, and within 5 minutes. He's given a watch to tell Loki when to prune himself, along with the time stick to do so.
Green means prune. If you're too late, you will be lost to time forever.
Suddenly, Loki slips away. He's holding both the time stick and the watch when it happens. Yet the stick is left behind while the watch is taken with him. That's very convenient. The episode wants to raise the stakes, forcing Loki to search for a time stick before the light turns green. This requires that he loses the time stick but keeps the watch, despite holding both.
That makes perfect sense. There's no flaw in our logic.
Mobius moves towards the loom with the extractor, while Loki, in the TVA's future this time, searches for a time stick. Strangely, the episode acts as if these events are happening parallel to one another, but they're not. Who knows how much time is separating these events? Again, this is done to manufacture tension where there otherwise shouldn't be any. In the future, the TVA is being evacuated. I'm sure we'll find out just what this means later this season. The watch turns green. This means Loki should be in even more of a rush to find a time stick before it's too late.
If you're too late, you will be lost to time forever.
Dude, what the fuck? Mobius keeps stalling and begging Obi for more time before he closes the blast doors, even as the danger to himself increases, all in a desperate attempt to save Loki. This scene relies heavily on Loki and Mobius' strong friendship. However, this is another facet in which the episode is built on a broken foundation. In Season 1, Loki worked with Mobius under threat of death. All the while, Mobius belittled, insulted, and tortured him. Yet by the finale, they were supposedly good friends. Now the show is trying to build a deeper relationship on this non-existent friendship, so it rings hollow. Loki finds Sylvie, but then is immediately pruned by an unknown individual. Another mystery to be solved later. You know what? I'll throw out a crazy prediction. Loki was pruned by himself. A future version of Loki. I've got nothing to base this prediction on, it's just a shot in the dark. Loki is yanked out of the loom. He crashes into Mobius, shoving them both back into the building just before the blast doors close. This is convenient as fuck. What if Loki hadn't been flung out at just the right angle? What if he hadn't crashed into Mobius with just the right amount of force to propel them forward and not kill them? And what if the blast doors hadn't been just slow enough to allow this to happen? The episode backed itself into a corner, and then had to cheat to get itself out of it. Sloppy writing at its finest. And then Sylvie goes to McDonald's, the end. This episode is better than anything in Season 1, though that's not saying much. Loki's character works mostly fine given the context of the episode, and there's only one instance where the show goes out of its way to belittle him. I also enjoyed much of the humor, which often worked with the character's established personality rather than against it. And I'll give the episode some props for trying to explain some of its rules in more depth, though it was anything but successful. This episode faced an uphill battle. It needed to build a story on top of what was established in Season 1, and Season 1 was an utter disaster that destroyed the world building of the MCU. The show now wants to explore the world more, which is impossible to do without contradictions, retcons, and plot holes galore. As a result, it's only succeeded in breaking the MCU even more. It had an equally rough time dealing with the characters. Season 1 assassinated Loki,
Conceal, don't feel.
warping him into something he wasn't. And its new characters were one half nonsensical and another half despicable. The show now wants to develop these characters and force them into these roles they don't belong in. It wants Mobius and B-15 to act as the moral conscience of the TVA, when 5 minutes ago they felt no guilt committing genocide in an unfathomable scale. And it wants Mobius and Loki's friendship to act as the emotional anchor of the episode, when last season was almost entirely comprised of Mobius being a dick to Loki.
I don't believe
Do you enjoy killing?
I'll kill you.
What, like you did your mother?
Loki Season 2 Episode 1 struggles because it's trying to build off of what's already broken.